Nick Cannon will come to Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunnies Never in Nick Cannon's time. The sister with the weave will go natural in her time. The grandmother with the white Jesus, she will get a black Jesus in her time.
Understood.
You got to give people time to get to where they need to be. And we're the only ethnicity in America who's more loyal to their religion than they are to their community. Nobody else puts religion above race except Negroes, and that's why we last.
Wow.
If you're challenging the white power structure, you got to have people you can trust with your life because one day you may have to. That's also why it can make it difficult for me to date. Because of the celebrity part of who I am, women often want to be able to brag that I know him personally. You can't do that because what if I need to hide out at your house? I can't. So the dating game gets tricky because women don't understand you got to shut up. And what we got, you got to keep it to yourself because I might need you to do something for me that could be a matter of life or death, and I can't trust you because you're too loose with your lips. You can't do that when you dating the activists.
Honor, privilege, and a pleasure once again. I mean, backed by popular demand, and so much to unpack here. The one and only good Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to be with you, Brother Nick.
Yes, man. Obviously, our last session turned up quite a bit because we were speaking of the importance of taking care of our own, and whether that's in politics, whether that's in the space of finances and building our communities, you honed in on something very important, one that you're doing not only as an activist but as a true leader is education. You speak about our prominent black individuals, our very well-off black individuals, not doing enough for our community. We're not building banks. We're not building schools. We're not building institutions that will actually benefit the black community. But there's a lot of pageantry. And I would love for you to unpack that space and in this session, as well as getting to, the importance of your latest book, Black Parent Advocate, because, again, that all circles back into the black household and the importance of that. But I would love to start in the space of where we started last time. I mean, we dealt in the world of politics because that's, the topic that's, prevalent right now. But I think even removing politics, getting back to the black community taking care of its own. And you have openly criticized a lot of our prominent individuals for not doing enough for the black community. But I would question, do we really know that that's our duty, and has there ever been an example of someone who has done that before?
It's absolutely our duty because from a revolutionary historical perspective, from a black cultural perspective, men are supposed to be men under any and all circumstances. Women are supposed to be women under any and all circumstances. No matter what your profession is, your religion, your status, your tax bracket, being a black man and fulfilling that God-given obligation should be your priority. Being a black woman and fulfilling that God-given responsibility should be your priority. So the notion that my wealth, my fame, my status, my celebrity, my tax bracket alleviates me from the burden of helping black people redeem themselves is unacceptable. You follow me? Nobody gets to opt out based on their income bracket. Everyone must serve. And part of the reason why you should is when you are no longer the celebrity that white people can exploit, if you get caught doing the wrong thing, they will treat you just like any other ninja in your community, i.e. Bill Cosby and a whole host of other people. So you're going to need your community sooner or later again anyway. Because one thing we know about the white power structure is when they're done sucking your last drop of financial blood, they throw you back to the wolves. So you need to make sure that you have a good relationship and a good standing with your own people. Somebody like you, you're not going to have that issue because no matter what people might say about a Nick Cannon, you try to see how you can help. You will at least have the conversation. Yeah. A lot of celebrities won't even entertain the conversation. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. So yes, the obligation never goes away. But I want to say this because I don't want to unfairly criticize our celebrities. The black community is responsible for the selling out of its celebrities. If you notice, no other community tolerates betrayal from its celebrities except black people, because we raise our children not to be loyal to the community. We tell them to get a good education, get a good job, and get away from these ninjas. They are raised to betray and sell out. So I'm not going to focus too much on the Serena, Bunny Hopper. I'm not going to focus too much on the Tyler Woods, Bunny Hopper. I'm not going to focus too much on the Jay-Z or Sean Carter or Oprah Winfrey. Because if you take them out of the milieu, in 50 years, you will have people to replace them who will be no less snobbish and no more committed to black people than they are. So what I'm saying, Brother Nick, there's a process. The black community has a dysfunctional process that allows our celebrities to turn their back on the community and still be celebrated anyway. I mean, look at President Obama. He was a politician. And we allowed him to take care of everybody else except black people, and we still celebrated him. So for me, the way to deal with the celebrity is to get back to community, and let's decide as a people what we stand for and what we expect from every member in the community, not just the celebrities. Because again, Nick, you could switch them out, put another Negro in their place, and they would be just as much of a betrayer of their culture as the ones who are in there. It ain't the personality, it's the system that gives birth to them.
Yeah.
Get rid of the gangster rappers right now. In 30 years, you'll have some worse than them, because the system, the dysfunctional black community, creates adults who have no loyalty to it. And a big reason for that is we are so stuck on religion as American Africans that our primary loyalty is to religion before it is to our race. And we're the only ethnicity in America who's more loyal to their religion than they are to their community. Nobody else puts religion above race except Negroes, and that's why we last.
Wow. That's heavy. I mean, you
put the race first.
Really?
We got to learn to put the race first. The most divine thing that you belong to is your race, because God made you an African. You made yourself a black Greek. You made yourself an Eastern Star. You made yourself a Jack and Jill. You made yourself a Divine Nine. You made yourself a Muslim, a Christian, a Jehovah's Witness, an atheist. You chose those things, and you could give them up tomorrow. You can never stop being black, even if you tried. Blackness is the most divine group membership we have, and that's why we should stand on it first.
Wow. Now, I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment. What about the individuals who say that this rhetoric and this ideology is the same as white supremacy?
How? I haven't advocated the hurt or harm of a single white person. I haven't advocated the hurt or harm of a single group of color. And, of course, when I say group of color, that don't include blacks. We don't ever get lumped in. We alone. Okay? I haven't advocated hurt or harm, bias or discrimination against any other human family. I'm simply putting the priorities of my people first, because the priorities of my people are always last on the list of priorities of any other community. Well, no group has ever come to America. First of all, we already know white folks have never done right by us. It's been 4 centuries, and they haven't done right by us. So now let's look at all the immigrants and the people of color. Name me the group of color. Name me the nationality, the immigrant group that has ever come to America and stood shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe with black folks in defense of our rights. I'll listen. Nobody. They have all benefited from us. None of them have reciprocated. Not one. Now, you've had individuals.
Right.
I'm not talking about individuals. I said community. Give me one community of color that has ever stood up and stood out in defense of black life and black rights. Nobody did. They don't come to America to struggle with you. They come to America to replace you. And that's why you got the migrant crisis right now. This is the purge.
Wow. So in that same, because the ideal of America is the great melting pot, and that idea that ultimately everybody is going to be of one race, And that is the goal of so many.
Who told you that nonsense?
I'm walking here.
Okay.
So in that
Because W.E.B. Du Bois said the same thing.
right.
He thought that one day, if we do enough bunny hopping, there'll be one new American race. It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen.
African DNA is too strong, and white folks are too protective.
Because when they say I'm just talking about the purpose of America, the which you and I are citizens of. They're saying the goal is to
And that's debatable if we're really citizens, but go ahead.
right. But as we step and live and being raised, the pride of being an American is that we are all one.
Are we?
That's what the purpose of being an American
that's
is.
the propaganda
Okay.
of being an American.
Well, that's what I was
Because
leading to.
nowhere in practice are you going to find that.
So, but in that sense of like you said, we all want to hold on to
And
our
the
origins.
only reason why America is pushing this great immigrationist melting pot, Brother Nick, is because, as you know, the numbers of Caucasians in this country
are
dwindling.
Yes.
And whenever America begins to suffer a Caucasian population loss, they look to immigration to beef their numbers back up by using non-white people to come in as Caucasian surrogates, probationary whites, to share their identity and their agenda to keep white people in charge. And so they're using the browns and the reds and the yellows to beef up their numbers and make sure they maintain domination of the society and keep black people in their place.
Doesn't that contradict the idea of the people of color or the minorities?
No. Because the people of color are together
Right.
with the white people to keep black people in their place.
But
Immigration is
really?
here to maintain status quo.
But so you're then saying that we truly are exempt from being people of color. We're not. That's not us.
It's not us. They claim it's you, but
Yeah.
they only include you to ignore you. People of color is a smokescreen that allows them to take care of all other groups and deny black at the same time.
It's heavy.
Because how do you hold somebody accountable for black people when your definition of who you are includes everybody else too?
So going back to the term, and let's simplify this. The term that we should all identify with is black.
I'm flexible. I say American African, ultimately African.
What about all of the black individuals who
I don't have a problem with that, though.
I'm not African.
Well, that's self-hate. That's self-hate. Here's my thing. There is no one word that can describe the almighty supreme ruler of the universe, the great invisible I am. God is incomprehensible. But Nick might call him Yahweh. I might call him Olodumare. He might call him Jehovah. He might call him Allah. He will call him Chukwu, right?
Right.
And guess what? I'm fine with all the names. You know why? Because there is no one name that can describe that which gave creation to this. You follow? And if God is ultimately undescribable and undefinable, God's first people, we the Africans, are also ultimately undescribable and undefinable. So if somebody wants to call us Hebrew, if somebody would say we black, if somebody would say Aboriginal, Indigenous, African, Al-Kibalan, I'm good with all of them because at the end of the day, we are too great to be reduced to a single name. It's not the name that we should be struggling over, but the vision for our people who we are naming.
Wow.
Where do we want to be in the next 100 years? Let's struggle about that, not over what to call ourselves. You'll never get the one name. Even in ancient Africa, there was never just one name because Africa is a continent of kingdoms. So whatever kingdom you belong to, they had a name for those people. You follow me? So you go back to ancient Africa, you'll find 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 different names for the same land because there was never a continental unity until we needed it.
It's powerful. That's deep. So in that sense, I definitely want to tap into the black parent advocate.
Okay.
Can you break down that construct of why you chose this to be your next book and how this is helping leading the charge into saving the black community?
I chose Black Parent Advocate to be my second book because in being a certified school psychologist for as long as I've been doing this, I saw that black parents were ignorant of school law. They were ignorant of special ed law. They were ignorant of federal civil rights law as it relates to the schools, and they needed a manual that could guide them from point A to point C in protecting and advocating for their children. So if somebody calls up Brother Nick Cannon and say, your son better get some medication or he can't come back to this school, Well, guess what? The law says you cannot refuse a child school admission because the parent refuses to medicate. But our parents don't know that. If the school says he's going to get evaluated for ADHD or he's not welcome back, our parents don't know they can't force you to evaluate your children. That's your choice. You see, or if the child is in special ed and the parent is saying, Dr. Umar, my baby been in special ed for 10 years and he still can't read, I don't know what to do. Calm down. 3 things you need to know. Number 1, if we can prove that the special ed program failed your child, we can make them pay for your child to go to a private school at district expense. Number 2, if we can prove that they failed your child, they now owe your family compensatory education, reparations for miseducation. All the money they got for your child through the special ed program that was never spent on your child with integrity, that money can now go to you, and you can spend it to help your child academically in any way you deem fit.
Wow.
Yes. And then on top of that, what we should start off with is an independent psychological evaluation, which you can request. If the parent doesn't trust the school system, if you have a good reason why you don't want the school's psychologist to evaluate your child, you can request an independent evaluation of the principal. And once he grants your request, you can choose any psychologist you want in the state of California to reevaluate your child. And why would we want to do that, Nick? Because we want to make sure that the scores and the skill levels that we're getting are authentic. Because the school psychologists could lie. They can make your child look worse. They can make your child look better based on whatever the agenda of the school is.
Wow.
You have to be careful. A school team, an IEP team, an academic behavior intervention team, Brother Nick, is just like going to court. When you show up as a criminal in court, you have the judge, you have the defense attorney, you have the prosecutor, right? Well, guess what? Before you got to court, the judge, the defense attorney, and the prosecutor, they didn't already met, huddled, and decided what they're going to do with you. You showing up in the courtroom was just smoke and mirrors. That was theater. We already know how much time he's going to get. Same thing with special ed. Before the parent signs permission to evaluate, the school psychologist, the classroom teacher, the principal, and already huddled and decided what they're going to do with your kid. That evaluation, smoke and mirrors.
Really? So you're empowering people with the knowledge.
Information to fight for their children themselves.
Right.
Because our parents think whatever the school says is the way it got to go. No, it don't. There's an area of law called school law, Brother Nick, and I'm even contemplating going back to grad school. I don't want to, but I'm thinking about going back to law school to become an educational attorney because we ain't got no major black law attorneys, man.
Wow.
There's not one black attorney I know in this country who specializes in educational and special education law. They all white. I don't know one.
Wow.
In the country, I don't know one. So I'm thinking I might have to go back and become that educational attorney. So when cases have to go into the courtroom, I could be there to properly advocate for those children. And given my background in psychology and education, I would be able to do a damn good job because not only could I advocate legally, I also know what that paperwork's supposed to look like.
Right. So how does Dr. Umar manage his bandwidth and what he deems important?
Well, as you know, my cell number is public.
Yeah.
It's been public for the 19 years that I had it. I've had this number since I went to Africa the first time, 05.
Wow.
So it's 19 years. Everybody has my number. I don't take phone calls. I only take text messages. And when people text me, I screen them to see if this is something worth my time.
Right.
99% of the people who text me, I respond to them. 1% I ignore because that's not a question for me. That's something you can find out on your own.
Right.
Or you just a YouTubian struggle streamer looking for some nonsense. You feel me?
Right.
So believe it or not, even though the number is public and I get messages from all over the world, I'm not overburdened by it because I get to decide what I respond to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once the school opens up and educating our children will take more of my attention, then I will probably have to delegate some people to handle certain aspects of social media and telephone calls and that kind of thing, because once the school open, that's my priority. Right. You know, second only to my mother, of course. Right. So things are going to change when the doors open.
Right. So, and that's exciting in itself because I know that's something that you've been working towards for quite some time.
Yes,
but during that time, you have become a leader.
Yes.
A true activist, unlike, you know, some other people that you don't believe are activists. People look to you for knowledge, wisdom, information, understanding. And now, like you said, you're on the circuit of, you know, from education facilities, institutions to, podcasts, and this ultimately has become a career for
Yes, it
Dr.
has.
Umar
It has.
Johnson as
It
well.
has.
So, I mean, the value in that,
Mm-hmm.
and again, going back to your bandwidth and your message, because sometimes this is a school, this is a classroom right here.
It
You're
is.
educating so many, and I know you put importance on your brick and mortar.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there's only so many young people that are going
That
to
can be served there.
be served there.
And you brought that up earlier with regard to the virtual academy,
Right.
which I do want to build. But the virtual cannot come before the physical. And the reason
why.
why, for me, the virtual school cannot come before the physical school is if you put the virtual out before the physical, if the virtual fails because parents are not implementing the curriculum as designed,
Right.
people will assume the physical will fail as well. So to make sure you control your brand and your product, you do the physical. So
Right.
everybody can see this works when it's done.
Right.
Now, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you don't do it the right way, that's on you. It ain't on us because, as you can see, it works.
Right.
But for me to put it out into the virtual world where I'm going to be at the behest of parents who may or may not be motivated to implement this the way that I designed it, that could risk destroying the reputation of FDMG. So we got to go physical first.
All right. So then I want to go philosophical for a moment, because, and still staying on the subject of bandwidth, we've seen Dr. Umar speak on many different topics. We see the ones that go viral.
Yes.
They usually include words like snow bunny or
Yes. Black queens forever. Snow bunnies never.
or coons, or you have such a gift of gabs, a way with words. You're such an orator, and even a comedian in some senses.
Yes.
To where we see your memes go viral, we see your terms go viral, but at the same time, you're a true doctor. You're a true educator.
Yes.
You're a true author in that sense. Philosophically, when managing your bandwidth, how do you say, all right, I'm going to entertain, I'm going to educate, or I'm just going to be outspoken and controversial, but all to garner, attention and energy, but then to give out what as we build this brand of Dr. Umar Johnson?
It all depends on the setting. If I'm in church and they ask me to do a sermon, I'm going to keep it strong, serious, boom. If I'm coming to a university, it's going to be 80% message, but I got to throw 20% humor in there to keep their attention. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
The humor is strategically used to keep their attention because, unfortunately, our people aren't serious enough, Nick, to entertain a very serious conversation that doesn't have any entertainment appeal to it. You follow what I'm saying? So I do that purely to hook them.
Right. Okay.
But if I walk into a room and everybody dead serious, I'm staying serious the whole time.
Right.
But if I walk into a room, I'm like, I know I ain't got them back there. I'm going to have to hook them.
Right.
I'm going to have to throw a few jokes at them. I believe that one of the reasons I've been, if you want to use the word successful, no, effective. One of the reasons I've been so effective in our community, from the elders all the way down to the babies, is because although I am absolutely uncompromising in my political positions, I don't expect you to be just like me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Nick Cannon doesn't have to be Dr. Umar for Dr. Umar to be Nick Cannon's brother. You feel me? I walk into a room and there's 6 sisters in there. They got perms and weaves and blonde hair. They know I love women natural. They know I want all black women natural, but they know I'm not going to condemn him for not being. In other words, as strong as he is and what he stands on, he's not going to judge me for not being there.
Right.
And I think that's why they appreciate me.
Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That's why I'm tolerated, because it's like, he going to come with it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you walk by with your snow bunny, he ain't going to say nothing disrespectful.
We
you
know what he
not
think.
feeling it, but he ain't going to disrespect you.
Right.
And I think that is why I get the respect, because what's the word? Is it zealot? What's the word they use for somebody who can't think outside their box? Not narrow-minded. I want to go to that next word. There's another word. I want to say zealot.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not a zealot.
Right.
Some people, if you ain't this, they don't want to be bothered with you.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You don't
fact.
believe in God. You don't believe in Jesus. We don't want you. I'm not that.
Right.
I'm a Pan-Africanist, and the heart of Pan-Africanism is the unification of all of our people. How can I unify people if I'm steadily judging and condemning them for not being where I feel they need to be?
Right.
There is no compulsion in consciousness. Nick Cannon will come to Black Queens Forever, Snow Bunnies Never in Nick Cannon's time. The sister with the weave will go natural in her time. The grandmother with the white Jesus, she will get a black Jesus in her time.
Understood.
You got to give people time to get to where they need to be.
Okay, so and that means that you believe you are evolved to a space that others may not have.
Absolutely.
reached.
But I think I was always there. And maybe it was the psychologist in me. I mean, in terms of not judging people.
Right.
Maybe it was the psychologist in me, because as a psychologist, you don't judge your clientele. You know what I mean?
Right.
So maybe that influenced me from the very beginning to never expect everybody to wave the red, black, and green flag like me.
Right.
And then I had an early learning experience.
Okay.
And this was when I was in the Garvey movement. And the Temple University students used to come to my Marcus Garvey Action Committee and study group, right? And when the Temple University students used to come, they used to say, Dr. Umar, I can't say race first. I'm a Christian. I can't say race first. I'm a Muslim. What's with this African people first stuff? I love everybody. God loves everybody. I wouldn't argue with them. I say, just sit in on the meetings. And slowly but surely, they started joining on their own with no pressure. And then I said, I figured this out. We don't have to force nobody. Expose them to the truth. And sooner or later, they will gravitate to it.
Well, that's where we are right now. So I got to go here in this sense, because you said you don't argue. But we have seen. We've seen a lot of discourse.
Sometimes, here's the problem. If somebody cooning too hard, to the point where I know you cooning, it might just pull the ancestors out of me. But I try not to argue. I don't do it much, though.
And again, a lot of times the people that you have discourse with are highly educated, highly intellectual individuals.
Yes.
And ultimately, it just
it's definitely a jealousy thing against me.
Okay.
With black male scholars in particular on the collegiate level.
So this is where I want
because my popularity exceeds all of them.
Yeah.
On every campus they on.
Yeah.
And they don't like the fact that when Dr. Umar comes to campus, the students are going to treat me like a rock star.
Right.
And they don't give them the same love. I got a lot of haters in higher education.
Yes, you do. And in media.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. Shouts out to all my professors at Howard, though. They love you. They love you. But I've been in many different settings where they try to call you a pseudo psychologist.
Yes.
Not knowing that you literally have all the credits and accreditations that you need and actually have done the actual work.
Absolutely.
And
they really know that.
They know that. And contrary to popular belief, the school is coming.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. FDMG
That's why I don't
is
argue,
having.
because when they see it, when you know something,
I can't wait to show up. The opening day, I'll be there with you.
Come through. That'll be strong. That'll be strong.
So, but I say all of that to say, we've seen the discourse. Is there anybody in this space, media or higher education, academics, that Dr. Umar is a fan of, that you do get along with, that you say, I rock with that person?
Tremendous respect for Dr. Claude Anderson.
Oh, of course.
Tremendous respect for David Banner.
Of course, my brother.
Although we're on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum, tremendous respect for my brother Killer Mike.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of folks.
You haven't named any educators, though, and that's I mean, other than Dr. Claude.
None of them you would name, though. They don't have the notoriety.
Okay.
But I had a lot of
even like in certain institutions. I mean, I just want to know, because when
Florida A&M University, Department of Psychology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of them out there.
Okay.
You know, a lot of past presidents of the Association of Black Psychologists. Like, I have a secret cabinet of black scholars and educators who support me, but they can't do it publically because they could lose their job.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So and I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
Does Dr. Umar, because when I hear you speak about, Booker T, you speak of Garvey, you speak of Frederick Douglass, you speak of people that are no longer here.
Yes, sir.
That you look up to and admire. Are there any current mentors or trust or cabinets that you look to and say, when Dr. Umar is having an issue, this is who I go talk to. This is who I get it.
Like I have so I got that educator, scholar, secret cabinet.
Right.
But then I also have an elder. I have my own council of elders.
Really?
But none of them are of national stature. So back in Philadelphia, I have 2 elder Moors. They're of the Moorish Science Temple.
Okay.
But they've been with me since I resigned as Minister of Education for the UNIA, Baba Jack and Baba Peace. You feel me?
Okay.
So I go see them. I talk to them. I got some queen mothers. You know, I got elders spread out all over the world. I got them in London. I got them in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I call on them as necessary. Sometimes they just call on me and like, listen, we got to talk to you about something. I want to check you on this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I do have them. But I think it's best that they kind of remain unseen for their safety and for my ability to engage with them.
So,
because who's to say 5 years from now, Brother Nick, I got to go underground like an H-Rap Brown or a Stokely Carmichael.
Yeah.
And I got to hide out.
Yeah.
I can't hide out with them because I done told the world
who they are.
You see what I'm saying?
So would you say a brother in your position or whether it's an activist or any type of leader, is that the advice to that one should always have a
secret cabinet, secret support network? Absolutely.
Right.
If you're challenging the white power structure, you got to have people you can trust with your life because one day you may have to.
So is now, because we've heard all the conspiracy
with that point,
yeah.
That's also why it can make it difficult for me to date. Because of the celebrity part of who I am, women often want to be able to brag that I know him personally.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
Because what if I need to hide out at your house? I can't.
Right.
Because you done told the world we know each other on a non-public level.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the dating game gets tricky because women don't understand you got to shut up. And what we got, you got to keep it to yourself because I might need you to do something for me that could be a matter of life or death, and I can't trust you because you're too loose with your lips.
Right.
You want everybody to know. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't do that when you dating the activists because I need people who I can go to in times of need and ain't got to worry about the FBI tapping your phones.
Wow.
But if you done made it a point to let everybody know, I know him.
You done told everybody on the gram.
I can't go to you.
So this is serious business.
It's very serious.
I was going to tap into was,
and sometimes being the celebrity part, and I'm not a celebrity, I'm an activist, but being branded as a celebrity, it works against the activism.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Because they think it's all the pictures and the memes.
Right.
No, ninja, we got work to do.
Right.
And I brought people into my movement who I had to let go, Nick, in a matter of weeks because they didn't know we do work here, bro.
It's real work.
This ain't just Facebook and Instagram and speeches. We do work. And they only wanted to be around for the glamour and the glitz, none of the elbow work.
So that's what I was going to talk.
The gift and the curse.
Yeah, I wanted to dig deeper in that, even talk about the severity and even the danger of the work that you do because it looks like, entertainment to a lot of people.
It does to a lot of people.
And they often, like I said, we've heard the conspiracy theories of yesteryear.
Yes.
The J. Edgar Hoovers and
those forces are still with us. New names.
Can you tell?
system.
That's what I want to tell. Like, how dangerous is it to be Dr. Umar Johnson?
It's very dangerous. I get the death threats.
Really?
And I get them regularly. Oh yeah.
And now, do you feel like that's systemic? Do you feel like that's?
I think it's both. I think it's coons who tested me, and then I also think it's the power structure.
Really?
When I was in Costa Rica, speaking for Garvey Day a couple weeks ago, August 17th, and this is in one of the original Garvey houses because Costa Rica, one of the first places he went, even before he came here.
Wow.
In fact, he wasn't really known yet.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sitting outside after my lecture. These 2 guys came up and sat next to me, and they're asking me questions about Philly, and they claiming to be from Philly. So I start asking them questions about Philly, and they knew nothing about what I was talking about.
Wow.
And I said, they not from Philly.
Right.
These is agents. They were sent there to find out what I was doing there, to see if I'm causing trouble with the Costa Rican African people and so forth and so on. They were straight agents. I had a sister from L.A. who was an FBI agent.
Really?
She pulled me to the side. She wasn't assigned to me.
Yeah.
At least she said she wasn't.
Yeah.
But she said, yo, they watching you. I'm letting you know right now. They're watching you. And she said, don't be paranoid that the FBI is watching you. She said, you can never keep yourself too clean because she said, even if they don't find nothing on you, they'll make it up. She told me that. She said, if we don't find it, we will make it up. And she said, people go crazy trying to stay clean of the FBI.
Yeah.
She said, you can't. Because if we can't find it, We will manufacture it.
Especially today.
Yes. And I had
AI
and I had an elder FBI agent. She came up to me after a graduation, middle school graduation that I keynoted in Southwest Philadelphia. She came and sat next to me in the, what you want to call it, the post-graduation social.
Right.
She said, I'm an FBI agent. Sweet little grandmother. She said, Dr. Umar, you got to be careful. They will send the people you trust the most. And because you have such love for us elders, they'll surround you with a bunch of elders. They won't even send a woman because they know you're still going to look at the woman a little half crazy.
Yeah.
But if they send you a 75-year-old grandmother, you wouldn't think twice. And she was sitting right there.
Wow.
So I've had FBI agents warn me to what they about.
That's heavy.
But here's what I say to all that. You cannot be worried about it. You have to do the work or give it up. Because when I look at El Hajj, Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, when I look at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I felt that they got so overcome with the threat of death that they secretly wished for it to happen so they could alleviate themselves from the pressure.
Just get it over with. Yeah.
I believe when their end came, they were waiting on it.
Yeah.
Because
they
it's
know
like
they spoke of it.
Y'all keep threatening me.
Yeah.
Y'all keep saying it. And I just think that they wish that this will happen and not affect my wife and children. I think Malcolm and Martin's greatest fear was not to die. They knew they were going to die.
Yeah.
I don't want my children and wife to die with me. Remember, they bombed Malcolm's house.
Yeah.
They bombed King's house twice
Yeah.
with his wife and kids in it. And, of course, Malcolm and his wife and kids was in it. So in their mind, it was like, please, get me when they not around. Don't kill my family just to get me.
Is that why Dr. Umar stays single?
No, I stay single because I haven't found the queen. I'm not going to say haven't found because there's a couple sisters who might be. I'm going to say it has not yet been proven to me who the queens are. Once I find the right queen, I'm going to lock in. Of course, I'm going to have two queens.
Yeah.
So once I find the right queen, double up on everything. Once I find the right queens, I'm going to lock in. But I need women to get beyond the celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. This is pure activism. I was born to serve the people. You got to deal with the activism and not get distracted by the celebrity. When I find them, we can move mountains. Because I totally believe, Brother Nick, that if I had a wife, even if not two, if I had a wife, I would have been able to accomplish so much more than I have in my life. I see where a wife would have definitely benefited my mission.
Wow.
You
really?
feel me? Yes. I see it.
It's a strong statement.
See it.
So now,
and I know when I finally find her,
or them,
how much more I will be able to do.
So I got to ask you this. Does the mission change once Dr. Umar has a family, specifically even children? Because like you said, from the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, there's now you are responsible for individuals and in households to where you may not be able to be. So
I follow you. Here's the question. When Frederick Douglass escaped from slavery in Maryland and Queen Mother Anna Murray Douglass reunited with her fiance Frederick Douglass and they got married, did he stop his work?
No.
When Coretta Scott King married Dr. King and they asked Dr. King to become the president of the Montgomery bus boycott, the Montgomery Improvement Association, did he stop?
No.
Did Malcolm stop?
No.
What leader do you know? Look at Nat Turner. Nat Turner had to die for black people and didn't give it up for his wife and children who he loved. You know, they tortured his wife and killed her.
Yeah.
After Nat Turner was killed,
right?
They tortured and killed his wife.
Wow.
They killed a couple of his children. One or two got away.
Wow.
Right? So my point is, when I look at my ancestors, Medgar Evers, nobody gave up the mission for the family. And if the woman is expecting you to abandon your mission, she's not the woman. And I've had women say to me, this is too much. You got to choose me or the people. Well, that's easy.
You got to choose the people.
You never win in that. The first wife is always the people. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So, nothing changes. Nothing changes.
So then, I mean, you use the term activist to describe yourself in a, like that. That's what you are. So we all have different definitions for activists. We talked about the LeBron James of the world. I believe LeBron
James ain't no activist.
He got the amount of money to be. I believe Jay-Z is an activist. These brothers have.
If you're going to give them that,
yes,
we're going to have to qualify it as soft activism. Let me tell you what soft activism
like
is.
soft porn.
Soft activism is they about to march against the police downtown L.A.
Okay.
I'm not going because I'm scared as shit. I'm not walking against no cops.
Right.
But I'm going to give y'all some money to pay for the lawyers if y'all got locked up.
Okay.
I'm going to give y'all some money to get some peace and some soda. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
Soft activism, you don't put yourself in harm's way.
Okay.
You stay all the way back and you just fund from a distance. That's soft activism, as opposed to a Dick Gregory who funded King
This is my OG.
and marched with King. You see what I'm saying?
Now, and I had this conversation
Who
with
LeBron James marched with?
because
Jay-Z marched with?
I'm
Did I
gonna
miss something?
bring it home though.
Carmelo marched, though.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they kind of sabotaged Carmelo's career. Because when Freddie Gray got his spine dislocated from his skull, Carmelo, who lived in Baltimore, he showed up on foot and marched for Freddie Gray. And when the NBA saw Carmelo show that he was an alpha male, that's when they said, we can't use him.
Well, so
He still care about black folks. Let's go get LeBron James.
So, not to toot my own horn or even justify what I'm doing, but I have been on the front lines. I've been out there. I do the marching. I've sacrificed a great deal in my career for standing firm on things that I believe.
Yes, sir.
But ultimately, to bring everyone closer together, because I believe that is the purpose of an artivist. Now, an activist is ones like that you've named, everyone from Nat Turner to the great Marcus Garvey and the Stokeleys and obviously the Malcolm X's and people like yourself are a little bit more overt with their message.
You don't put somebody who's not willing to die in the front line. He gonna betray you. You see what I'm saying? And you don't put somebody who's willing to die way in the back because you can use him in a much more better way. So for me, I don't believe, and I think this is one of the faulty thoughts of black activism from the 60s. We thought everybody had to be willing to die in order to organize. No.
Right.
Just find out what they're willing to sacrifice and assign them to the right place. You
Right.
follow what I'm saying, Nick?
Understood.
If I know Nick Cannon ain't trying to die or lose his fortune, that's cool. Let me and Nick talk about the role he can play. Let me and LeBron talk about the role he can play. Let me and Jay-Z talk about the role he can play. You follow me? You can still be a part of this. Just be honest about how much you're willing to give. When you have everybody thinking you got to be willing to die, you're going to get a lot of imposters.
Right.
People who ain't willing to die, but they're going to act like it because they don't want to be left out.
But even to what you're saying, at least then, if we understand our position and what we're supposed to play, then we can remove the judgment for the
Yes.
ones who aren't willing to die.
Yes, I'm with that.
Right.
Because you are where you say you can best serve us. I'm cool with that.
So we honor the LeBrons and the Jay-Z's, and
LeBron ain't done that. What?
but he's willing to put his finances. He's willing
For
to
what?
speak
the,
up.
The movement he started against voter suppression? Ain't no black person thinking about no voter suppression.
LeBron James has done a great deal for the black community.
Like what? He paid for kids to go to college. To me, that's not serious.
So what should someone like LeBron or Jay-Z?
The money LeBron James and Oprah has paid for children to go to college, stop giving that money to white schools or even HBCUs and give that to them in business grants because college ain't doing nothing for black kids. Look at all the debt black folks got. You're going to get an empty degree with no job. No. Don't give them $250,000 for college, $250,000 for a business. Flip that into an entrepreneurial investment. That's what LeBron James should be doing.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying?
So
Paying for all this college, we not getting nothing out of that.
So brothers and sisters that have the ability to donate, be philanthropic, instead of giving to education.
And no, you could give the education, but you don't give to PWI.
Okay.
Because all you're doing is making white people rich.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
Right.
That's why it's not a threat. LeBron James could pay for 1 billion black kids to get a college education. White folks ain't gonna blink twice because all you're doing is giving us money.
So
That's not no activism.
let's talk about real
That's why he started the voter suppression thing. No disrespect to LeBron James, but voter suppression, that ain't a big problem in black America. We don't give a damn about that. We talking about jobs. What are you doing, bro?
So we have
We need institute. Billionaires should be building institutions.
So billionaires
I don't want to hear nothing short of institutions, independent institutions.
Let's break that down
in the
though.
black community.
So because we got everybody
Schools,
from
banks, Hospitals, supermarkets,
So from the Dr. Dre's,
all the way down.
the Yays, who he's actually tried to build a school.
He built the school, but
Yeah.
that was for bougie white and bougie black. That wasn't no grassroots community institution.
So
And stop bunny hopping, Kanye. Damn.
we gonna get into that on council culture, but we definitely gonna talk about that. But I'm just saying, if we were to implement, because we know we have a very strong community, a very powerful, very at this point wealthy black community. We have some of the richest people in the world,
And they're doing what with their wealth?
So what should they be doing, Dr. Umar?
Build institutions.
And you say institutions, independent schools.
Yes.
What else?
Every community, a Black Wall Street on the basic level is a school to teach, a hospital to treat, a supermarket to feed, and a bank to invest.
Do we know how much that would actually cost?
It all depends on the size and what they're actually going to be doing with it.
Well,
But
let's put the plan together.
They can afford it if they're working together. You
So-
can build a school for $3 million.
3 million,
Say 5.
5 million.
$5 million for the school.
Banks. How much we need to
You
put
can do
up?
a bank for about $5 million.
5 million.
It takes less to start a bank, but 5 for the structure and all.
Hospitals.
I'm gonna go 5. Hospital, you might got to do about $15 million.
So you just said pretty much for $25 million, all of these billionaires, if they all they got to do is put $25 million into their community to get it going.
Now you got to sustain, which is going to be less than the opening.
Right.
But the problem with us, we don't like to invest or commit ourselves to anything for our own people that we're going to have to contribute over a long period of time.
So I'm gonna
See,
put.
we like charity because charity, Nick, is what? One and done.
Yeah.
Charity is one and done.
So I gotta-
No, institutions, sustained investment over time.
Dr. Umar is giving me a mission. All I got to do
Yes.
is invest $25 million.
$25 million.
I'm a personally vow this
That's a bank.
in my lifetime.
That's a supermarket.
$5 million to a
and
bank.
that's
You
a little
gonna
credit.
help me do
Oh,
this?
For sure.
$5 million to a bank.
sure.
$5 million to a school.
For sure.
And $20 million. That's what we say, $15 million for a hospital.
Make it 20. Make it 20.
So 30 all together.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
30 mils to get 'em up.
That's my goal. That's my new goal. So that's the new mission.
I want you to take it to 50 mil.
50
to
million
50 mil.
with $50 million. If I can invest $50 million
Yes. That's definitely school.
in the next 10
bank,
years, because I ain't just gonna come
small
out.
hospital,
Yeah.
supermarket. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna make the 50.
Yes.
I'm investing $50 million in the next 10 years.
And please do keep in mind, you got about 12 cities in America that are up for sale right now.
Which one? Really?
Yeah.
Whole cities?
Yes, the whole city. Yes.
We don't know this.
Yes. There's a city in Florida for sale. There's a city in Michigan for sale. A lot of them are in the Midwest,
Right.
Montanas and North Dakotas. But you got Florida.
We could buy cities.
Massachusetts got a city for sale. The whole city. The buildings are there. Of
So
course,
they
they shut down. You
Yeah,
gotta
but we can
revitalize
get
them.
the school,
We can
the
buy- it's all
hospital,
right there.
and the bank all in one
It's
swoop.
all right there. That's why when you keep hearing black people say, we need to separate to do our own thing. Ninja, you got 12 cities for sale. Go get one and let's revitalize the thing.
You heard it. So I need this because we're going to wrap it up because you've been dropping so much wisdom and information.
Yes, sir. 50
just,
million.
Hey, that's happening.
That's a Black Wall Street.
There it is. What is the definition of an activist? We said
An
all
activist for me is an unapologetically African anti-snow bunny alpha male who is an agent of change.
Can we just say agent
You
of
must
change?
be a weapon of mass construction.
Okay.
An agent of change, weapon of mass construction, who is independently funding the solutions for the community. And I want you to underline independent, Brother Nick, because we got a whole bunch of people doing a lot of good things for the community. But you know what the problem is?
What's that?
They're funded by enemies of the community. So whenever those enemies decide that we're going to cut off your blood chain, your supply, your money line, you're done.
So we got to play the game. Because if I can't give you the 50 million if I'm not.
That's different because that's you, celebrity. But for the brothers and sisters in the streets, they need to understand
Right.
that once you compromise your voice, when you don't have a free tongue, you almost don't have a free hand either. For the ones on the grassroots.
Right.
For the celebrities, we know y'all got to operate a certain way. That's different. But for the brothers and sisters on the street, they got to stop selling out for the money because it's forcing them to compromise their voice.
So we also got to understand each and every one of us have to play our position.
We got to play our position. One of the reasons why you're not getting honest conversation about Kamala Harris or Donald Trump is because the Democratic Party is using all their fundraising money to pay off black media, black journalists. So nobody's telling the truth because everybody's getting paid to push a certain narrative. That's Republican and Democrat. So black people are looking for the truth and they can't get it because everybody they listen to is being paid to push Trump's narrative or Kamala's narrative. Who's the truth?
Wow. All right, so we're gonna. I gotta ask you this because, man, you've lived such a life and you're continuing your journey in such a powerful way that you're only elevating. What's Dr. Umar's greatest life lesson?
Wow, my greatest life lesson has been learning that the people around you don't necessarily believe in you or support you. They're there because they need you. It's been a tough lesson. It's been a necessary lesson, but it was a good lesson.
Wow.
In other words, I've been invited to places to speak and found out later that the person who brought me in didn't even like me.
Wow.
So why did you bring me in? Because he knew I would sell out the venue. You feel me?
Really?
And so I had to learn because originally in the beginning, I thought if they invite me to speak, it's because they is Umar supporter. Oh, I was wrong. Nah. They respect my drawing power, but not necessarily my message.
Greatest life lesson.
That was a hard, and there's been other lessons, but that has been a big one.
Wow.
That has been a big one.
All right, now I always ask, people that I look up to and that I admire, that I'm inspired by, their steps to success. Now you said success. You wouldn't say you're necessarily a success, but more effective is the better word.
Yes.
So what's Dr. Umar's 5 steps to being successfully effective?
I'm going to say study, preparation, spirituality. I'm going to also say that you have to be self-motivated. And humility.
Wow, that's number 5. Really? I don't take Dr. Umar as humble.
No, I'm humble. and people say it all the time. Like, they'll come up in the airport and sit down and talk. Be like, I never thought you would sit here and talk to me for a whole hour. You know what I mean? Or they'll come up and want a picture somewhere. I never thought you would take the picture because a lot of celebrities, and I hate the word, but a lot of celebrities, they won't give you no picture. And just a lot of little things I do that to me are nothing.
All right.
But to them, it's like, we didn't expect you to do that.
But the idea of, and even the definition of humble is to make oneself small. I don't think that anything small about Dr. Umar.
Right. But I think people are somewhat shocked when they see how down to earth.
Grounded. That's what I would say.
Grounded.
Instead
Yes,
of
very
humble, grounded.
Yeah, very grounded.
You gotta be
Very
grounded.
grounded.
So number 1, study.
Yes.
Number 2 was you say was that preparation?
Preparation. You got to prepare.
Really? Prepare for all things.
For everything.
Keep your head on a swivel.
Yes.
Number 3,
Preparation.
spirituality.
Spirituality. Without God, I don't know where I would be, man.
Number 4, self-motivator.
Got to stay self-motivated because you're constantly running out of energy and you're constantly being undermined.
Yeah.
So you got to be self-motivated or you won't win.
And the balance of that is to stay grounded.
Stay grounded.
Through
never
humility.
Forget where you come from. Never forget who you are. Never forget who you're doing this for.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it. Dr. Umar's 5 steps to being successfully effective.
Yes.
This has been an amazing conversation. We've learned, we've laughed, but more importantly, we've enriched each other. And,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's been an honor, privilege, and pleasure once
Likewise,
again.
likewise.
We got a lot more to discuss
For sure.
In our council culture sessions
sir.
where we're
Yes,
going to
sir.
talk about the snow bunnies and,
Yes, sir.
and the relationships and all of
Yes,
that, but we
sir.
kept this real academic and forward moving. I appreciate you.
Yes,
I
sir.
thank you, good brother.
Yes, sir.
There it is, Dr. Umar Johnson. Class is adjourned.